Ten most powerful villains of Doctor Strange. Dr. Stephen Strange, a genius surgeon transformed into the master of the mystic arts, is definitely one of the strongest heroes of the Marvel Comics and MCU. Even without using the Time Stone, he went toe-to-toe with the Mad Titan Thanos. He usually does not meddle with human matters and is there to protect the Time Stone and the very fabric of reality. However, there have been several villains in the comics that gave Strange a run for his money. You cannot expect mere mortals to challenge the Sorcerer Supreme, right? His villains include demons, mystical entities, and he himself from another reality. After watching the trailer of Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness, we are all anticipating a different version of Doctor Strange to challenge the Sorcerer Supreme. With all that said, in this video, we will be talking about 10 of the strongest villains of Doctor Strange that made him use all of his skill set and luck to come out victorious.
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
You've come to die.
Number 1. Dormammu. Dormammu is a being made out of eldritch magical forces and is the supreme ruler of the dark dimension that exists outside time. With total molecular control over the entire realm, he is an entity of pure malevolence, presumably with the intent of extending his dark dimension and conquering all other planets and dimensions of the multiverse. Dormammu appeared in the MCU as the main adversary of the 2016 Marvel film Doctor Strange, and also in the 4th episode of What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart instead of his hands, as a cameo adversary. Despite his terrible goals, a section of zealots think that Dormammu should be permitted to unite Earth with the dark dimension, claiming that this will eliminate time and death, offering endless life. The zealots, commanded by Kaecilius, who was once a disciple of the Ancient One, make contact with Dormammu, who offers them strength through the dark dimension's abilities. Dormammu assigns Kaecilius the duty of destroying the magical sanctuaries in Hong Kong, London, and New York for Dormammu to expand the dark dimension into the Earth. Kaecilius is successful in destroying the 3 sanctums, opening a conduit in Hong Kong via which Dormammu spreads the dark dimension on Earth. He revels in inflicting agony on others, as seen by his many attempts to murder Strange before realizing that he was trapped in a temporal loop. Dormammu, despite his brutality, is ready to honor people who make bargains with him, as he has unwillingly upheld his part of the bargain with Strange by ceasing his assault on Earth and remaining in the dark dimension, for Strange to break the time loop.
Our universe.
Number 2. Shuma-Gorath. Shuma-Gorath is a Marvel villain and a malevolent deity who was one of the fictional extra-dimensional beings linked to the Cthulhu mythos, called Many-Angled Ones. He is an ancient alien deity that requires blood sacrifice and is a frequent foe of Doctor Strange, the Fantastic Four, and the Guardians of the Galaxy. His ambition is to rule all dimensions. Between Marvel superheroes and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes, he was voiced by the late, great Frank Perry. He is presently voiced by Paul Dobson, who has also voiced Doctor Doom since Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Fate of Two Worlds and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. The origins of Shuma-Gorath are unknown. He governed Earth and demanded human sacrifices in the past until a time-traveling sorcerer named Sissy Neg exiled him. Shuma-Gorath came back to Earth centuries later, controlling it once more and preying on mankind. After another age, a newly awakened deity named Crom imprisoned the demon on a mountain using the iron-bound volumes of Shuma-Gorath. Over a century later, still imprisoned in the mountain, he utilizes his mental powers to connect with the sorcerer Kulan-Gath, who chooses to use the iron-bound volumes to liberate the demon. After experiencing a nightmare featuring Shuma-Gorath, the barbarian Conan detects the danger and with the help of Crom uses the books to return Shuma-Gorath to his dimension. Shuma-Gorath exceeds all human comprehension. He is strong and almost invincible, allowing him to regenerate fully and modify his shape. He can create and absorb energy, which he readily manipulates for a variety of strikes. He has teleportation, levitation, and phasing abilities, as well as the ability to traverse across dimensions at command.
Do not be frightened, old friend, for we are one and the same.
Number 3. Strange Supreme. Strange Supreme is an alternative version of Doctor Strange who attains the knowledge of the mystic arts after losing his love interest Christine Palmer in the car accident instead of his hands. This version of the MD PhD Dr. Stephen Vincent Strange appeared in the first season of the Marvel animated anthology What If as the title protagonist in the 4th episode. In this alternative version, Stephen becomes a master of mystic arts and performs several heroics but slowly surrenders to his depression due to the loss of his love. He uses the Time Stone to get back to the point in time where the car accident had taken place and tries to save Christine, only to realize that it is beyond his capabilities. His desperation drives him to his evil side, and he absorbs numerous interdimensional entities to gain the necessary power to change the past and revive her. The Ancient One and another Doctor Strange version try to warn the Darker Strange that establishing such a contradiction will destroy the fabric of reality and result in the demise of the universe. But their warnings fall on deaf ears as he travels back in time to the lost library of Cagliostro to learn the spell necessary for his purpose. As time passes, he begins to appear unwell, with thin, pale skin and gray bags under his eyes. This version of Doctor Strange is even more arrogant and adamant in his desire to resurrect his love, growing more blindsided with grief and hatred over the reality that her sad death was always supposed to be her fate. Despite being warned of the risk, Strange is ready to go to any length to satisfy his ambitions, spending ages absorbing other mystic creatures and absorbing their talents, eventually changing himself into a horrible combination of them. Finally, he acquires the requisite strength for the spell to create an absolute point in reality by ingesting his alternate self. Number 4. Baron Mordo. Karl Amadeus Mordo, also known as Baron Mordo, is a Transylvanian aristocrat born in Varfmandra and a disciple of the Tibetan magician known as the Ancient One. He is a strong and egotistical sorcerer who later tries to kill the Ancient One. Baron Mordo is a key adversary in Marvel Comics and the secondary antagonist in the Doctor Strange series. In his attempt to assassinate the Ancient One, he was stopped by Doctor Strange, for which he was driven out, making Strange the Sorcerer Supreme. Mordo would struggle with Doctor Strange on several occasions, sometimes with the help of the demon Dormammu, even going as far as to successfully impersonate him for a brief time. When Mordo intended to murder his instructor, the Ancient One's guest, Dr. Stephen Strange, learns of it, causing Mordo to use restraining charms to keep him from notifying his master or harming his plan. Strange, on the other hand, selflessly accepted the Ancient One's offer to study magic to aid the elderly man, and the Ancient One liberated him from those spells, showing that he was fully aware they were in place. Mordo's skills were comparable to Doctor Strange's, although Mordo was especially proficient in astral projection, hypnosis, and mesmerism. He was more than eager to utilize powerful dark magic and summon demons, both of which Strange was hesitant or unwilling to do. Number 5. Kaecilius. Doctor Strange's major nemesis is Kaecilius, who appears in the 2016 Marvel Cinematic Universe film, Doctor Strange. He is a dark and strong sorcerer who used to be a member of the Master of the Mystic Arts before becoming corrupted and nasty. Kaecilius is based on a servant of the wicked Baron Mordo from the Doctor Strange comic books, but in the film he takes center stage as Dr. Stephen Strange's strong enemy. The late Stan Lee and Steve Ditko developed the character Kaecilius. Kaecilius is driven by the blinding wrath and anguish from the loss of his family, the deaths of whom he was never truly accepting of. Unlike Strange, he cannot accept that personal sorrow is a normal part of life, and as such he considers death to be an injustice. Although he is not preoccupied with himself, he is arrogant and proud, suffering from a deeply ingrained messianic complex that motivates him to free Dormammu from the dark dimension, believing that doing so will lead humanity to the natural climax of its progress by eradicating death. His megalomaniac intentions for Zenith are mostly motivated by a wish to see his wife and family again. Despite his bright and philosophical nature, Kaecilius suffers from magical thinking, being selectively blind to Dormammu's wickedness and instead viewing the Ancient One as an unfair tyrant for not sharing her knowledge and power with her pupils, particularly him. He believes he is a decent guy on a journey to save the world rather than govern it, but his cruelty and disrespect for human life expose the absurdity of his heroic fantasy. Kaecilius is a formidable sorcerer who can compete with Doctor Strange and even the Ancient One. He draws strength from the dark dimension, which corrupts its user and has created massive dark stains around his eyes, but also augments its user's skills to scary proportions. Kaecilius is also incredibly bright, capable of comprehending intricate spells and devising methods and plans. The Ancient One saw him as a potential successor because of his power and brilliance, but he turned away from her when she refused to reveal all her knowledge. Kaecilius is a tremendous, formidable, and ruthless hand-to-hand warrior, capable of using a range of magical and mundane weapons with great skill.
As you can see, I've changed the rules. Demons!
Number 6. Nightmare. An embodiment of nightmares and frequently referred to as the Dreamscape's Demon Prince, Nightmare is a regular villain in the Marvel Comics and one of the Fear Lords who frequently opposed Doctor Strange and Ghost Rider. Nightmare ruled over one of the Splinter Realms, the Nightmare Realm, as well as its beneficent counterpart, the Dream Dimension. His meddling with mortals frequently brought him into a confrontation with Doctor Strange. The Nightmare was extremely protective of his domain, having repelled attempts by his daughter and other demons to oust him. Nightmare served Shuma-Gorath as a servant. Nightmare can take the astral form of a sleeping human and transport it to his domain. They are tortured in various ways as he sees fit. Nightmare can call a variety of inferior entities into his domain, like the succubi, to perform his bidding. When necessary, Nightmare may summon his ride, Dreamstalker. Nightmare cannot afflict a person who is awake under normal circumstances. His pictures and other inventions, on the other hand, might continue to torment a person during the day. Nightmare is capable of subduing 2 earthly demigods, an eternal and elder god, and a genius-level human teenager with ease using magic, while assessing their worst fears from the darkest crevices of their mind, despite being capable of sustaining reasonable physical harm with a single strike from Hercules. The Council of Godheads is aware of his presence and tremendous knowledge. Nightmare will persist for as long as there are dreaming beings. He has been vanquished, yet he can never be annihilated. Number 7. Umar. Umar the Unrelenting is Dormammu's twin sister, and she, like her brother, is a strong demonic entity seeking conquest, frequently fighting with him for the title of Supreme Being. Sinifer, a Faltine, conceived Umar and her brother. The Faltine are pure magical energy beings that reside in their realm. It's indicated that when Faltines spawn, the new entities are perfect duplicates of the old ones. However, in this case, the spawns were different. They saw tangible stuff, unlike Sinifer. When Sinifer attempted to stop them, they transmuted him from energy to matter, murdering him. This infuriated the rest of the Faltine, for which Dormammu and Umar were exiled from the Faltine dimension. Dormammu eventually attempted to infiltrate Earth's realm and clash with both the Ancient One and Doctor Strange. Dormammu was eventually destroyed, and the enchantment that had banished Umar was broken. Despite being exiled, Umar intended to get revenge on Strange for her brother's death. She kept Clea as a captive in the Dark Dimension to entice Strange back in. When she initially faced Strange, she was the stronger, but then Sage, aka Veritas, appeared and gave Umar an image of his old Faltinian appearance. This image nearly drove Umar insane, and she traveled to Earth in vengeance to destroy it. Strange overcame her by summoning Zom, another monster. Umar possesses a brilliant mind and a wealth of magical knowledge. She can manipulate the force of magic to achieve a variety of effects, such as interdimensional teleportation, size transformations, time travel, transmutations, energy manifestations such as powerful concussive blasts, magically constructed animate beings, telepathy, illusion casting, limited mind control, and many, many more. Umar's head was enveloped in a plume of magical fire, the flames of Regency, as she reigned over the dark dimension. Number 8. Satannish. Created by Dormammu, Satannish is one of the strongest demons of Earth. With his great mystical powers, he could open portals to send mystical raids, create mystical barriers, and had several other capabilities. He is the second most powerful demon after Mephisto and was placed as an undercover agent inside the Hell Lords by Dormammu. Satannish inhabited a dimension adjacent to Earth but could contact Earthlings for centuries. He promised his followers superhuman strength in exchange for their souls, some of whom formed a cult to the demon, known as the Souls of Satannish. Others formed a crime syndicate known as the Magia. Doctor Strange, being the Sorcerer Supreme, could summon Satannish through enchantment, but certainly avoided doing so, owing to the demon's might. Necron, the Wizard Lord, once made a bargain with Satannish to amplify his strength for a year until finally he became immortal in return for his soul or that of any other powerful wizard. Necron hoped to give Satannish Strange's soul and battled him out in a dimension where time could be manipulated differently than Earth's. Doctor Strange, being the smarter of the two and also bearing the Time Stone, manipulated time so that the 24 hours of the day of Necron's year passed more quickly than normal, thereby exhausting his powers. As soon as the year was completed, Satannish took Necron's soul and imprisoned him in the demon's dimension. Satannish later seemed to be killed by the stronger demon lord Mephisto. It was later revealed that when the Hell Lord dies, his soul is sent back to the Hell Realm again. Number 9. The Enchantress. Like many deities in fiction with no real-world counterpart, the Enchantress, aka Amora, is a goddess from the Marvel Comics. She has the qualities of several mythological figures, most notably Freya's. She has appeared as a regular enemy of Thor and is the secondary antagonist of the mighty Thor franchise. Born somewhere in Asgard and apprenticed to Karnilla in the land of the Norns, she is one of the most powerful sorceresses in all of Asgardian dimensions. She was later expelled by Karnilla for being too indisciplined. After this, she picked up further sorceress skills by seducing other Asgardian magicians and wizards. Amora's magical powers derive from her natural capacity to manipulate ambient Asgardian magical energy and her acquired knowledge of spells and enchantments of Asgardian origin. She can use her magic in different forms, like generating powerful energy blasts of concussive force, heat, or light. She can transform herself into other humanoid beings similar to that of Loki and can teleport across great distances. Her natural beauty is alluring to men, and a single kiss can make any man her slave for a week. She could botch spells of illusion casting, temporary paralysis, deflection of matter and energy, interdimensional travel, and elemental conversion. She had once used her transmutation enchantment upon the Black Knight, which changed him into a statue. It was a spell so strong that even Doctor Strange, after using all of his resources from the Sanctum Sanctorum, could not break for an extended period of time. Along with her magical powers, her bodily coordination, agility, and balance are enhanced far beyond the natural physical limits of the finest human athlete. However, even with all that malice, she had once joined the heroes of Asgard in a war against Surtur and his legions from Muspelheim, which earned her the right to stay in Asgard after being exiled by Odin along with the Executioner. She is not a technological genius, but is smart enough to use advanced scientific equipment created by her allies. At times, Amora employed various artifacts, potions, and objects of magical powers against her enemies. Her powers derive their potency from Asgard, and with prolonged detachment from the realm, her powers diminish, but never fade away. Number 10. Empirikul. Led by the Imperator, the Empirikul were an army of robots. The Imperator, in his infancy, lost his parents at the hands of the magic authorities, the Blood Monks, for which he, along with the Empirikul, went on a mission to purify the world across dimensions from all magic users by killing them. Some of their victims included Ice Duchess, Crimson Gypsy, Dr. Warlock, and Magister Senzandor Sozo. In the storyline where the Empirikul reached Doctor Strange's dimension, several magical landmarks on Earth were destroyed by them, the last and strongest one being Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum. Doctor Strange used all of Earth magic to empower himself but failed to stop them. He was captured and brought to the front of the Sanctum Sanctorum to be sacrificed. However, to his rescue, the old mage Monaco interfered and teleported him and his colleagues to a safe place at the cost of his own life. The Empirikul destroyed the Sanctum Sanctorum and scavenged the earth for the sorcerers while their leader, Imperator, rested in their mothership. The thing in the cellar of the sanctum emerged and became a threat to the Empirikul and the Imperator. While they all engaged in a battle against the creature, Doctor Strange and the sorcerers arrived with artifacts containing the last traces of magic on Earth. The sorcerers fought the army of robots, while Strange and the Thing engaged in fierce combat with the Imperator. With the use of the Ancient One's skull, the Imperator was weakened and finally neutralized by Doctor Strange and the Thing. With the fall of the Imperator, the entire army of the Empirikul was shut down.
If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.